Well, hello again, everybody. This is John Norris at Trading Perspectives. As always, we have our good friends Sam Clinton and Courtney Trush. Y'all say hello.
How's it going?
Hey, John.
Hey, guys. Here it is. We're now in the middle of May, or towards the end of May, sort of middle of May, I guess. Baseball's in full swing. I don't pay much attention to baseball in April. I really kind of wait until the season's at least probably 30, 40 games into it. And, recently I saw that the unicorn, Sam, you might know who I'm talking about,
Yep.
The unicorn, Ohtani for the Angels, really the only two-way player remaining in the league, and is awesome in both. He, Courtney, believe it or not, has more strikeouts for two-way player than anyone in Major League Baseball history, having recently passed Babe Ruth's record. So
that's
really
impressive.
something when you're passing Babe Ruth's records, all that stuff. So I kind of wondered just how much is Ohtani getting paid in order to be one of the best baseball players ever. His 2021 season being considered one of the finest of any player ever. And I went and I took a look, and he's making his base salary is between $30 and $35 million. He's going to make around $35 million in endorsements. And I don't know, my math is he's going to be making about $70 million this year.
Wow.
Next up in the Major League Baseball, Max Schweizer for the Mets, $58 million. Justin Verlander is making $43 million. Aaron Judge just across town for the Yankees making $40 million. These are some real dollars here. We start thinking about someone making $40 million like Aaron Judge. It takes someone making $100,000 a year, Courtney, 400 years to make that amount of money.
And they think Ohtani's going to get probably up to $600 million deal when he's a free agent coming up.
And so that is an absolute fortune. We also have that league that the Saudis created in golf and what have you. You probably know a little bit more than I do about that. But all this money that we're throwing at professional athletes, and we talked about this a few years ago, is there ever any end to it? And why do we spend so much money on professional athletes?
Well, clearly, people largely, I would maybe exclude the Saudi Golf League from this, want to make money with what they're doing. And so clearly, if we're able to pay, owners are able to pay, it's coming out of someone's pocket paying these players. It is extremely profitable industry, the sports industry.
Yes. I would think, they're definitely making that money back. And you probably do see it. The ultimate consumer, the person who's going to the game, the person who's paying to buy whatever TV channel they need, it all comes back to the brand. I do think one thing I Googled as well, I know you're focused on baseball, but I looked at the Forbes list for 2023 on the highest paid athletes, and you're talking about what the highest person was $40 million? So the highest grossing athlete in the world is probably not surprising, but Cristiano Ronaldo. He makes $46 million on the field, but what we also don't consider, to your point, John, is they make endorsements on outside of just their role as an athlete. So he makes $90 million, a total of $136 million in a year.
Well, why do you keep on staring at his picture?
He is so
Keep
handsome.
zooming in.
I'm just saying.
I see the article that you pulled up has been on his face for the last 5 minutes.
He has 850 million followers on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and I'm telling you, it's not because he is a good soccer player.
Well, now that you're back on social media, I have a feeling it's 850 million and one. So.
That is just like such a large amount of money. I don't even know how you would go about even trying to spend that amount.
It's surprising and it's not surprising, though. One, it's the biggest sport. Two, sports in general have been around for thousands of years. This is not some new creation that we've come up with.
Even the Mayans were playing sports.
Thousands and thousands and thousands of years, people have been playing some sort of sport. It's almost inherently part of being a human is enjoying kind of competition in sports. And now we have churned out ways to make it so profitable and allow people to spend so much money on it, whether it's through TV deals, jersey sales, actual tickets to games, what have you. It is a massively profitable sport.
And so, what amazes me about some of these prices, the Live Tour, just outrageous what they're paying those guys.
Yeah.
And even in baseball, I'm kind of sitting there taking a look at it going,
oh yeah, if you try to go to a Braves game,
it's so expensive.
Yeah, and then when you get there, you're buying stuff at the concession stand. All adds up.
And so, are we ever going to get to a point where people kind of quit going in person because it's so expensive, and yet these guys still make a fortune because of the television deals, the streaming deals. I mean, just people might not be going in person to see baseball games quite as much as they used to, but they're still consuming baseball through apps, fantasy leagues, streaming devices, all that stuff. We're going to get to a point where all of a sudden professional sports becomes more out in the ether as opposed to out in the playing field.
I think maybe a little bit. I think we've already seen, to me, a lot of that shift, and I think Live is a great example of why I don't think it'll fully go that way. I'm not the biggest fan of the league itself, but the focus on making it more enjoyable for fans to, one, watch, so that's part of it, but two, go to events. You're seeing that really across all sports. You're seeing it with the new stadiums that are being built. They're spending millions and millions of dollars on stadiums, with the focus largely being around the entertainment zone around the stadium itself. Obviously, you want a nice actual stadium, but building an event center where you can go and spend all day, you can spend tons of money. You can get people that don't necessarily love watching, say, a baseball game, want to go to the Truist Field kind of complex in Atlanta, spend all day eating and drinking and just casually watching some baseball. So there's a much bigger focus on making things more fun for the consumer, to actually go and spend a ton of money. So I think we've seen a shift away a little bit. You've seen some people draw away from, going because, like you said, TV, it's pretty nice these days. And I think we're just kind of getting to that sweet spot of a balancing act.
I don't know if we're just having an age difference or if it's just differing opinions, but I actually don't think, John, I don't think that we will see any breakaway from being at the games and having the experience, the client experience. Now, I say client experience, the Oakworth terminology, but you think about it, I think that the baseball industry probably does it the best in the sense that there are so many things that they entertain you with, right? They always have someone like running around the field, there's a race, or here, hey, someone's pitching the ball, or, here at the kissing cam,
Someone's playing the sport.
She sounds like a real expert, doesn't she?
I'm sorry, like the first pitch, like they do.
Someone's out there tossing the ball and stabbing at it with that stick.
No, but okay, like they'll throw shirts up at the stands. Like there are certain things that they do to like get everyone energized. And then you look at like our college football craziness of being in the South, and now they have all these lights, and it goes like crazy with the lights it's the experience, and you cannot replace that. Me sitting on my couch is, yes, I can see the game, but I don't get the experience of being with the crowd, and I think there's something for that, and people are willing to pay, right? Like you still have people paying ridiculous amounts. I mean, I won't get into the music industry, but I'm just saying people pay thousands of dollars to go have the experience of a concert. They can listen to the CD, and the same thing with, think about the Super Bowl. I mean, they were selling tickets for thousands of dollars, and people were paying it.
College sports has done a almost not to their own doing, but it's always had a draw to actually go to the games.
Yeah.
It's
the on-campus experience. It's the emotional attachment people, particularly in the Southeast.
People themselves have kind of built what these new stadiums for professional leagues are trying to kind of inorganically create. College football, at least in the South, and big schools in the Midwest and what have you, have created this kind of atmosphere that other sports are vying for. And so there is always going to be a demand for a fun in-person way to enjoy sports. And so it's just a matter of how do you do that for maybe leagues that don't have it as organically as something like college football does. But clearly, whether it's a mix of in-person or streaming, I mean, people don't, again, just spend money building these new stadium complexes and giving out hundreds of millions of dollars of deals. I mean, the Texas Rangers spent $800 million over the last 2 off seasons and built a new stadium on top of it. I mean, it's just crazy money.
Don't you mean the Washington Senators?
I don't actually, John.
I don't actually.
But these are smart people. These are business owners and people that have had success in lots of other lines of business too. They're not doing this just to do it.
Well, I think what's interesting too is, so LeBron James, he is the fourth athlete in
Does
the
this
lineup.
include his deals with China?
I guess, because it
He's
includes
gone.
on the court and
Yeah.
off the court. It's like, I think,
He's
104
a
million.
really big fella. I don't want him to find us here.
Yes. Well, what's interesting is I looked up how much the NBA as an organization, they have 30 different teams. They combined for 2021 and 2022 season, the combined generated revenues was over $10 billion. So if you think about it, $10 billion, and a lot of people are paying that money to see LeBron James like on the court, paying him 104 or whatever it was is probably just a drop in the bucket.
Well, you can do the math, but I mean, in any event, I would tell you that I did a similar type number for baseball payrolls. And baseball payrolls for the 2023 season, Sam, Courtney, if I remember my math correctly, it's
You're
like
the numbers guy, John.
some say it's like $4,862,000,000 were really what the payrolls were for all the teams in the MLB. From a high, I think it was the Yankees are always the highest.
Yankees and Dodgers.
420 million, all the way down to the Oakland Athletics at 60 million.
I believe it's even less.
And then what is
for
it?
the
What
lower-
is it?
And not surprisingly, the Oakland Athletics right now have the worst record in Major League Baseball, having only won 8 games through the middle of May. So
Funny how
I
that
guess you
works.
kind of get what you pay for. But I would tell you, I think this might be where there might be some generational differences. Sam is still young enough, vibrant young man to want to go to all these experiences and talk about. Courtney, you still have kids.
I do.
And part of the fun of going to go over to
I still have them, that's true.
you still have them
Yes.
at least for a little while longer
Right.
before the adoption agencies, all that. But the new field was at Truist Field over in Atlanta.
Yep.
You go over there, and you're right. The Braves do a great job. They've got the on Sundays they let kids run the bases. And it's a lot of fun. I took John over there a couple of times. Absolutely agree with you. It's fun. That part of that experience, particularly when you're a parent, is just seeing your kids' eyes light up. I took him to a Hawks game, same type of thing. I could care less about the Hawks, but man, he had a great time. We were just talking about that the other night, how much fun he had at. So those are the experiences. Now that my kids are older, out of the house, just me and Beth and the dogs waiting to die, all of that, it's kind of like, I don't care really if I ever go see another Hawks game. I don't care if frankly, I don't care if I ever go see another Braves game. I probably won't. I do like seeing the Red Sox play. I do see a Red Sox game.
Do you think, I think Birmingham and Alabama may be a unique market to ask those kinds of questions because, outside of going to Tuscaloosa and Auburn, I mean,
we don't have we got a double A.
Yeah, but we don't have, I think if I was, being a fan of every Dallas team, if I lived 10, 15 minutes from the stadiums, I think I would be going to tons and tons of games because, one, it's a combination of a team I care about, it's a super fun environment, and it's easy to get to, and really not that expensive in the grand scheme of things. So I think, that's a part of it is Alabama being kind of a unique market. I mean, the Braves are 2.5 hours, 3 hours away from us.
It's now 3 hours when you really think about the traffic and going up there.
All that,
yeah.
but that's a full weekend almost that people are making out of it.
Yeah. And particularly with Courtney and her busload of children, buy a ticket for all of them.
Right.
And then you're going to have to drive home because Alex can be drinking the $20 20-ounce beer, all that type of stuff. That gets to be kind of you're hitting the home equity line of credit in order to go see a game.
It is really ridiculous. We have bought tickets, and if you try to buy decent tickets, it is. I mean, you will drop easily $500, if not more, on a ticket.
So, John,
for a single bottom.
Do you think
what?
Everyone has to have a bottom and seat.
Okay.
So, do you think if you that's a really weird way to put that.
Okay, sorry.
Nonetheless, do you think if you had easy access to the Baltimore Stadium, you could go see Orioles games super easy? You say you live 15 minutes from it. You think you'd go to more Orioles games or more baseball games, or do you think even at that
You
point
would get annoyed with it, like the fans?
I would tell you this year, I'd probably be going to every other game because Camden Yards is a great place. You guys know I started off my career in Baltimore about the same time that Camden Yards opened up, and I grew up loving the Orioles because my family's historically from Maryland. So I've been a long-suffering Orioles fan, just waiting for them to put something decent out there on the field. So now this year that they're second in the division, playing some good ball with some young guys out there, kind of a lesser payroll, I would, yeah, you're kind of exposed me for the hypocrite I already knew I was. I would certainly probably be going to more games, particularly on the weekends. Maybe not the weeknight games, but definitely the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
It's kind of a sweet spot to me when you think about it. If these teams are doing a better job of hopefully getting people to go to the games. One that's largely going to be local, say, again, using the Braves as an example, the Atlanta Metroplex. A lot of those people go to those games. And then you can have some people in the Birmingham type distance away that probably go to a game every now and then.
Yeah.
But now a lot more people that are hopefully watching it than they were 5-10 years ago. And so maybe it's, even starting to generate a little more revenue.
Last week's podcast, talking about just vacations for the summer and all that, I mentioned how I was looking into the season to perhaps go see Orioles play the Red Sox and taking a look at prices for Baltimore hotels. And I'll tell you, this is what I was planning on doing. Taking Friday off, flying up there, hitting happy hour at the Cross Street Market in Federal Hill. Awesome times. Going to see the Orioles that night at 7:10, and that's a fun evening.
Yep.
That
Absolutely.
would be fun.
That's a real fun evening, and so maybe staying for the next night and all that stuff. But even so, that's kind of a once in a year type of thing for me.
Yep.
So I just wonder how much until at some point the average Joe Sixpack on the street is going, this is absurd. Here I am knocking my brains against the wall, and these guys are making more money than I would make in 8 lifetimes.
Yep.
At some point, I wonder if they quit consuming. And I've been wondering that for years, and the answer seems to be no, they're not going to quit.
I just don't. Going back, this is not a new phenomenon, having people care about sports, and I think it would take something. I can't even imagine what it would be to get people to stop caring about sports. If you go to a tailgate before a college football game, even an NFL game, the passion that a lot of these people have is not. It's almost scary how much people.
It's the middle of winter out in Buffalo. People are tailgating, and it's just, what in the world? I'd be
covered in snow.
And
I'd be wrapped up on a blanket in my house.
And I just don't think much is going to be able to change that. In sports, again, are focusing on trying to get more people in, make it more fun. Baseball's trying to speed up the game. That was one of the biggest reasons attendance had been lacking. And so they're focusing on trying to get people to go to games, because I think the TV side, the streaming side, all that is going to happen regardless.
Well, they're even talking about speeding up the college games, and no longer short time out after first downs. I think is some of the rules coming up this fall. And I tell you, really, the easiest way they could speed up the games is getting that guy with the red hat off the field. How many commercials are there during a college game relative to an NFL game? It's craziness.
Yeah.
Well, and was that really about the experience of the people who were attending the game, it being shorter, or was it also about them being able to fit more games in the lineup for the TV stations?
Since it always comes back to money, it's probably the second.
Yeah. Okay, so I looked up how much it would cost to buy season tickets for a Braves game, because obviously, John, if you were close and you could walk, you would just buy season tickets, which then would incentivize as you proclaimed, you might be cheap occasionally. You would want to make the biggest bang for your buck.
Catching strays over here.
You would want to be going. So
I think that foul ball just went off my face.
So what do you think the most expensive, you could give me the range, what would you be willing to pay for season tickets for all the home games? For the Braves.
For 81 games?
Yeah, 81 games.
That's home games?
Or how much I'd be willing to pay, or how much I think the packages are.
Okay,
that's just.
How much you think the
and the thing is, baseball teams have tons of different packages.
Yeah, they have many packages.
I know, I will
weekend
just share the
packages.
range.
I would probably get the weekend packages or the Saturday, Sunday package. Be willing to pay $1,500 for them.
All right, Sam?
If I was in Dallas, could go to Rangers games really easily. Yeah, if I could go to all the weekend games, I'd probably pay around that.
Okay, well, that's pretty good. I looked up the full season membership pricing by section, and they range from as cheap as $846 a ticket, a seat, to
for all 81 games. Well, you're sitting on the last row of the stadium.
You're in those.
Not for $12,000.
No, for $800.
Yeah, $800 you are, and then for $12,357 a seat.
Behind home plate.
Yes.
Do they show any other packages out there?
Yes, they do. It's several, but they have it where they just had pricing for full season membership. and you can't buy it right now. I mean, you'd be put on a wait list. But anyways, I mean, it just shows that obviously they're making good money. They're getting that per seat.
So here I am. I was thinking my thesis was going to be at some point people would quit caring so much about professional athletics. The money's gotten way out of hand. And yet each year, someone's signing an all-time high contract.
Yeah.
Otani's going to get about $70 million this year. Verlander's getting paid close to $45 million, and Schwarzer as well. I can't even pronounce his name. And they play once every 4 games.
Yeah.
And so when you kind of divide that up, it's kind of like, my goodness. And it's
a lot of money.
Intuitively, or just kind of in your gut, you're feeling this can't go on forever. But then all of a sudden the head starts thinking, and the head starts going, there's no end in sight.
And it has gone on. I mean, it's gone on for, at least in the professional era of sports, it's always gone up. People used to have second jobs originally playing pro sports. It wasn't really a money-making. And now we're up to 40 to 70 plus million a year.
And to show you how
Keeps going up.
I am, back when I used to collect trading cards, I'd collect more baseball cards than football cards. But in football cards, it would, on the back of them, like I started collecting those in 74 and 75, on the back of them it'd say, Joe is an insurance salesman in the off season.
Yeah.
Or he runs a bar in the off season, that type of stuff. So football was just one of the things that they did, but they also had to figure out another way to do it. That is no longer, my friends. Courtney's back looking at Ronaldo's picture, having a good time. And as long as we're consuming it, the prices are going to continue to go up.
Yep.
And the people that provide us with that entertainment are going to continue to be multimillionaires.
That's right.
All right. With that, guys, thank you so much for listening. We always love to hear from you. Also, if you have any comments or questions, please, by all means, let us know. You can always drop us a line at tradingperspectives@oakworthcapital.com, where you can leave us a review on the podcast outlet of your choice. As always, if you're interested in reading more or hearing more of what we have to say or how we think, you can go to oakworth.com, take a look underneath the Thought Leadership tab, and find all kinds of exciting information, including links to previous podcasts, also links to our blog, Common Sense, as well as our quarterly magazines called Macro and Market. With that, I'll give you guys the last chance to say something on this topic.
That's all I got.
That's it, John.
That's all I've got today, too. Y'all take care.